by working together.
I would like to hear from you, Prime Minister, what would be your main reflections after this long-year process that you were presiding over regarding the Talanoa dialogue? And how do you think that other dialogues could benefit from that kind of friendly and open dialogue in order to raise ambition? And this also in the face of the fact that we will have this year the Secretary General's Summit. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Patricia. The President of the General Assembly, Secretary General, Your Excellencies. It was a moment of great pride for Fiji that the Talanoa methodology we introduced at COP23 and was so strongly embraced by the world. The Talanoa spirit taught us to move our collective agenda forward, not in an atmosphere of blame or finger-pointing, but with respect, empathy, and understanding. To realize that we all have legitimate points of view, but that we are all essentially in the same canoe. And to realize that the scale of the climate threat requires us all to do more, much more, if we are to preserve life as we know it on our planet, and health and well-being of our people, our economies, and our legacy for future generations. This amazing global exchange of ideas, challenges, best practices, and innovations has inspired us all. In Fiji, we've prepared a detailed report that reveals some of the most important, interesting, and surprising things we've learned from the dialogue. We hope that this can be a source of inspiration and guidance as we prepare for the next steps. The report, Your Excellencies, released today can be found on the COP23 website, cop23.com.fj. Mr. President, Excellencies, I encourage you all to read this report in full, but here's the bottom line. The time for talking and listening must now give way to action. For those of you who know me from my time as COP23 President, you know I'm not one to hold my tongue when speaking on this issue. And I apologize, I see no reason to break tradition today, because I'm gravely concerned that more than 3 years on from the Paris Agreement, we are still recklessly off course from preventing climate catastrophe for our people and our planet. 2019 has already sent us devastating reminders of the cost of worsening climate impacts. I extend my sincere condolences to all those affected in the wake of massive devastation and loss of life caused by Cyclone Idai in Southeast Africa. Storms of this ferocity, which were once a generational occurrence, are now a new norm. With our planet sitting only at 1 degree above pre-industrial levels, this is the reality we are already faced with. Even after many discussions, agreements, and nationally determined contributions, our collective targets have us on a path not to 1.5 degrees, not to 2 degrees, but to at least 3 degrees of global warming above pre-industrial times. Madam President, this is simply not good enough. We are asleep at the wheel and we're headed for disaster. It's time for us to wake up and correct our course by taking concrete steps towards a secure future. Is nationally determined contributions and develop short, medium, and long-term strategies to achieve higher ambition in their climate action plans. And nations must support greater financing and assistance for developing countries in line with what has been promised to help unlock the needed levels of ambition as well as build resilience. The good news is that the 3-degree future is not yet written in stone. 2019 is a critical year for climate action. The Talanoa dialogue process revealed a profound truth. we've seen that many of the technologies and innovations we need to decarbonize our economies aren't waiting to be discovered in some research facility or think tank. They are already out there. They exist in the markets today. What's missing, of course, is the level of political will needed to take up these tools and utilize them in an unprecedented global effort to halve emissions by 2030 and achieve net zero emissions by 2050. Your Excellencies, looking at the year ahead, the UN Secretary General's Climate Summit in September is to present concrete and realistic plans for increasing ambition by 2020. Fiji, of course, will continue to convene and support Talanoas that help countries, together with subnational governments, businesses, and civil society, search for the best strategies and instruments to support these efforts. This will begin in April with a Climate Action Pacific Partnership event in Fiji that will focus on leveraging the Talanoa spirit to support NDC enhancement and mobilizing innovative climate finance in the Pacific. Your Excellency, the eyes of the world are upon us at this moment. The eyes of our children and our grandchildren are upon us all. I want to be able to look them back in the eyes and say, we're doing more than talking amongst ourselves. We're taking action to save your future. I thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you for reminding us that climate change is about the future of humanity, about the young people, about the people living in this planet. And thank you also for reminding us that the international community actually has all the means to address this very important challenge, and therefore we really need to get to work.